I clicked the links for Odysee Gab BitChute to join the Discord. Now I need to pronounce the guy's name, the Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg. I probably mispronounced it. Now here's the thing with social justice warriors, Marxism, Bolshevism, this ideology, this ideological world of, why the Mary Sue releases articles like, what can Biden do to make child care more affordable? Women are supposed to be at home supporting their kids. Oh, how dare you say that? And it requires two people to work. Yeah, it requires two people to work because the Hart-Celler Act in 1965 flooded the country with about 80 million people who were willing to work for much less. That's why housing costs have risen, because you got 20 people living in a house. If supply and demand. If you have a lot of supply, the demand's going to go down, and it's why. That's why America's in the situation it is. Oh, but I thought diversity was our strength. Not if they're low-skilled people who are coming in to replace the already low-skilled people. You just create a violent, crime-ridden hellhole like you've done in Chicago. Oh, my point, I got easily distracted, is, but it's related, is this ideology doesn't necessarily work in the real world. So this transportation guy, Pete Buttigieg, got married and they adopted some kids or something, which in itself is kind of weird because it's like, where's the biological mom? And to be fair, like, Twitter is far left, but every once in a while you'll have two celebrity dads who they'll show up with kids, and then, like, there are far left feminists in the comment section who are like, where'd you get the kids from? I'm like, where's the mom? What? I mean, this is a hard impasse of woke politics of feminism versus this kind of further left thing about gay dads adopting kids. Because you look at it like, yeah, you're like, yes, this ideology of gay is one thing, but you're removing the child from his biological mother. You can be very far left and still look at that and go, yeah, that's not where we can't go down that path, but. Apparently they can't. Anyway, so him and his husband got two kids from somewhere, and he's a transportation guy. So he's dealing with transportation. If you look out your left window, you'll notice a bunch of ships outside of California. Why are the ships outside? There's off the coast of California. There's a bunch of transportation ships, and he's the guy who deals with transportation. It's like, maybe you should be dealing with transportation. And to his credit, I don't know how much he could do, because Biden is literally has dementia, and he's run by people whose actual goal is to take down the country, which they're very well doing. Anyway, but this he took a month off. The transportation secretary. It's like the country's in deep trouble right now. Especially if you're in California, you can go watch these ships who are just sitting outside the ocean, just burning fuel to maintain station, not crash into each other, because they're full of crap that needs to come to a port and offload their crap and, then truck it and train it throughout the country. But they're just sitting out there in the Pacific Ocean, just sitting there. It's like bored off their ass anyway. So Buttigieg take a month off for paternity leave, except, he's, like, the concept of paternity leave is, one, you shouldn't have women working anyway. Women should be home raising kids. It's like, well, that goes back to Hart-Celler. The way to destroy the country is to destroy the nuclear family, and in-group preference and all that kind of stuff, which they've done. So the goal is to have two working parents, so white people don't have kids. So all this is like, to take one little issue as such deck chairs on the Titanic to say, oh, women should be home with the kids. It's like it just goes in this quagmire of all these other nexus points. Everything's connected. And it's at the heart of the spider web is, Bolshevism, Moses Mordecai Levy, the ghost of Moses Mordecai Levy expressed through Soros and the Rothschilds, fomenting discord with their Machiavellian machinations. So yes, women should be home with the kids. The country should have stayed on a single parent income. The father working, and the mother and the grandmother and the extended family are helping to raise the kids. That was a successful nation, and they had to destroy that, and they did. There's no putting the genie back in the bottle on that. Anyway, so Buttigieg takes a month off for paternity leave, and paternity leave, the concept, though it has pater in it, is for the mother. I guess it was originally called maternity leave. Now that I think about it. Anyway, his body is not recovering from pregnancy because he didn't pass a baby out from between his legs. He at the most, he might have provided a DNA sample for, part of it. So he doesn't actually need paternity leave to bond with his kids. And this guy is going in the Mary Sue comment section, and he makes a very reasonable comment about, at this level, this isn't like, this guy's not, he's not a housing attorney who's helping you write a contract or something. He's not easily fungible. You can't just swap him out with an assistant. Like one corporate guy is as good as another. He's not just an insurance guy who's writing policy. He has a critical role in the administration. You can't just give him a month off to raise a kid. That's insane. Like, this is not, at some levels of government office, you can't take a month off, like a week off, maybe. And so this is where ideology meets a brick wall, because these kids on the Mary Sue are, basically saying, because it involves a gay guy and maybe other trans issues, I don't know, but it's a protected class, that their ideology, this was back in the communist days. They always, like, communists would massively underperform across every metric. And they would be like, oh, yeah, okay, we've got less corn this year, but the communist dialectic predicts that we actually have enough corn. It's like, yeah, but that's like this theory, this paper theory is not the real world. And in the real world, yeah, this guy keeps coming back to his credit. He's brave. He's saying, yeah, at this position, you cannot go away for a month. Because if you're going away for a month, the guy's only in office for 4 years. 1 month out of 4 years is a pretty respectable amount of time, especially at a critical point where you've got ships in the Pacific Ocean that are just sitting there. I don't know what he could do if he was in office, but it really looks weird to be out of office. And they're defending this because, yeah, he says he needs to bond with his kids. Well, that's what the mother is for. Oh, well, they don't have a mother. Yeah, there's a problem. They should have a mother. I know this doesn't fly on YouTube, but it's a small channel. I think I can get away with it for now. So what this comes up into is the brick wall hitting a brick wall of this concept of the patriarchy, and two gay fathers who were, got a kid from somewhere, and they're laying in a hospital bed, I guess. And it's like, people are in the comments are like, why are they in a hospital bed? They didn't deliver the kid. They're men. They didn't pass this baby out from their anus. They adopted the babies from somewhere. They probably bought them from overseas, or they had a sperm donor or something. But it's like, they don't need to be in a hospital. And even to people on the left, they look at this and it goes, this is weird. Two fathers, like, this should raise the hairs on the back of your neck, even if you're woke. Like, this isn't the natural order. And like, oh, we're subverting the natural order. Yeah, but there's a reason people did things the way they did. Not everything is perfect. Like, just because you've done something for 1,000 years doesn't mean it's perfect. But there's improvements, and then there's subversion for the point of subversion. And even if you're on the left, you look at this and tell me. I know nobody on the left is listening to this, but even people on the left, there's a certain percentage who are looking at this and go, yeah, this isn't, we've gone too far. We've overstepped ourselves with this. Like, feminism, yes, but a lot of feminists believe in the concept of upholding feminism, but still within a family structure, because otherwise humanity depends on the patriarchy. Anyway, so this concept of the patriarchy, and you're left with this hard brick wall of saying they firmly believe the patriarchy is bad, and it's like, no, this concept of a patriarchal hierarchy has worked for a very long time, and you're trying to subvert it with something that's like 200 years old. A new concept of loosely started with, I don't know, communism. It's a subversion. It's something, you're trying to overturn something that has a very long history of success, and you're replacing it with something that doesn't have any history of success whatsoever. And yet, as it fails, you just, you're blaming other people, and you're applauding yourself and patting yourself on the back, and you're like, yeah. The thing is, most, like this, like at an individual level, you got someone raised by two moms or two dads. It's like, it's so rare. But, in most cases, like, yeah, it's probably going to be fine. It's probably going to be fine. But you can't help but ask the question, well, where's the biological father? Or where's the mother? It's like, do you really want to take the biological parent out of a relationship And anyway, the greater concept is like there's, like I say, deck chairs on the Titanic. I mean, there's so many connected issues, but they all come back to this one central concept of this Bolshevik revolution 100 plus years ago, or that concept of how do we destroy the West. And Moses Mordecai Levy was one of the guys who was like, that was his life's work, is how do we destroy the West? How do we destroy humanity? How do we bring Lucifer's light to the world? It's like, well, we do this. We fund, we have Soros's Open Borders Foundation. He funds $32 billion in working to destroy the West. It's like, well, how does Kim Fox get in office? She's clearly retarded. No offense, YouTube. She clearly has cognitive impairment, developmental disabilities, or maybe not. Well, then the other excuse, if she's not disabled, is she's acting with intent. So where's the money come? Oh, the money's come from George Soros. And that's not some anti-Semitic hyperbolic statement. He paid $845,000 to put her in office. So you get a result where two black gangs are doing combat in front of police department, in front of detectives who were filming the whole thing because they were watching the house or they were watching somebody, but they were on station filming. And they watch a gang fight go down. A car pulls up in front of a residence, and they start firing on the residents. The residents return fire, and the district attorney says, "Oh, that's mutual combat." Well, now technically, is it a legal issue? Mutual combat? Almost certainly not. Mutual combat is like two guys decide to duke it out or something. That's an old concept. But in a city, you would not have that as a law because you don't want bullets flying around. That's insane because bullets travel a quarter mile with killing velocity. So you look at Kim Fox and you go, okay, there's something wrong here. And then you look at George Soros and like, oh, he put her in office. And not only did he put her in office with $846,000, he put a lot of other people in office too. Judges, district attorneys, politicians, school board members. So you look at these people who are making decisions that seem anti-nation. You go, why are they doing this kind of thing? And then you look at who put them in there. You're like, oh, George Soros the Open Borders Society, whatever the thing is called. It's like the goal is globalism. The point of globalism is to destroy nations, is to turn the world into Brazil. No offense, Brazil, but you're a shithole. It's the most diverse area on Earth, and it's also an absolute hellhole. And they're actually doing it because not enough people are courageous enough to call out George Soros and his tribe of people who they're advocating for this kind of stuff. And Mary Sue is just a bunch of useful idiots. They're getting paid. I don't know who's paying them, but I don't think they're making enough in advertising revenue to pull this off. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't seem like we're getting enough traffic. Anyway, yeah, way to take a month off. Patriarchy is alive and well. If the patriarchy was alive and well, you wouldn't have a Mary Sue magazine because you'd be home raising the kids. You'd be homeschooling the kids, or you'd have a small school. You'd be active in your city council, but you wouldn't have a bunch of single 30-year-old cat ladies writing articles, getting paid from somewhere. I'm really curious about where that money's coming from. If you had a patriarchy, you wouldn't have this. I'm not saying any like Fed posting type of thing. I mean, you'd ask, like, is this the best interest of a nation to have two fathers adopt two children? And like, adoption's one thing because you got kids who are otherwise sitting in an orphanage because their parents had something happen to them. But like, the whole structure of the society is set up where like orphanages should be extremely rare because you should have large extended families because you're starting families like when you're 18 or 20 years old, which sounds insane to these women who believe in abortion on demand at any time they want. I mean, there's so much wrong with this society now that it's like you're trying to put out a forest fire. But it's like they say, it's better to light a candle than curse the darkness and all that. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for recent support on crypto or coffee, and I will see you guys all next episode.